dark. Red and blue views, truth in the middle. No script, just thought raw and a little civil. Every question's got layers, so we peel back facts. From the real to the surreal, we don't hold back. Voices collide where ideas ignite. You tuned in, now step into the fight. This is more than talk, this is thought that counts. Welcome to the feed where the signal mounts.
All right, welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are plunging pretty much head first into some really raw source material. It's a transcript from the OTW Live YouTube channel stream.
And our job, really, is to guide you through it. It's dense, high-energy stuff, so we're aiming to cut through that intensity and pull out the core ideas, those, knowledge nuggets for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you should note, this isn't your typical panel discussion. The source itself says, this ain't normal. It describes the stream as long, lots of people, very raw, unfiltered chat. One speaker even called it a cosmic event.
And war. They called it war, too.
Right, war.
It's a really interesting, sometimes kind of jarring snapshot. The topics jump all over the place, from health and food worries
to claims about secret government stuff, hidden tech.
And then it swerves into these really intense, sometimes volatile, talks about race, identity, then survival tips, nutrition.
And maybe most vividly, just the really complex, often confrontational relationships within this specific online group.
It's quite the mix. So maybe let's start by just setting the scene, understanding the unique tone of this source.
Okay, yeah. Let's unpack that. The intro to this stream, it's not subtle at all. It immediately says it's something different, using phrases like, this ain't normal, this ain't from around here.
Exactly. It calls itself a cosmic event, says every word hit hard. The content is that uncut flame. They're really positioning themselves as disruptors from the get-go.
Yeah. We break, spin time, shake whole lanes, flying past clouds with the realest appeal. Out of this world, we don't play fair. Broadcast burn through the solar glare, taking over everywhere.
Not Earthborn, but we taking the throne.
Right. Beyond the script, beyond the screen, this is more than a show. It's a whole new being. It's a very powerful, almost defiant way they describe themselves.
And along with being out of this world and giving you raw truth, no filters, no toys, they explicitly call it war. So it's not just sharing ideas, it's framed as an active fight, a signal in the dark, as they put it.
What's also really striking, right from the beginning, is how blunt they are about the money side of things.
Yeah.
They say others chase clout while they engrave names. And then there are these direct calls for tips.
Oh, yeah, very upfront, hit that tip jar, no alibis, watching for free, you're riding the way. And then even stronger stuff like real ones pay, drop that coin, don't just learn free.
It's get off my tushy, do the work, pay up now, or get buried in the dirt.
Wow.
Yeah.
It really paints this picture of a space where knowledge isn't just shared, it's sort of sold, and being part of it has a price tag, almost.
It definitely says this high-stakes, high-energy vibe that kind of bleeds into everything else they talk about.
Yeah.
And speaking of topics, one of the big ones is this deep worry about health and the food supply.
Yeah, this part of the transcript gives a pretty stark, frankly alarming view of public health. They link widespread illness directly to the food system. The language is quite visceral, talking about slowing death with a suit and tie.
They list specific things they see as problems. Pesticides, raining poisons, graining, water's got lead, plastics in the veins. Calling them silent killers, but they never take the blame.
And they don't really hold back on who they think is responsible. You see accusations like labels lying, organic faking, claims that modified seeds are harvest forsaken. They even name Monsanto, talking about deals in the devil's cash, which leads them to believe we rot from a pesticide stash.
It's not just corporations either. The regulatory bodies, they get implicated too. Claims like toxins brewed behind government seals, and that the PRITA turning blind eyes to the deals.
And the result, they claim, it's presented in pretty grim terms. Cancer is climbing, diabetes too, followed by that really cynical line. Sell the cure after they poison you.
So the whole frame is like deliberate harm for profit. A bitter taste in the food and drink they killing, slow pushing to the brink. It forces this choice, profit or poison. And it ends with a warning. eat, drink, obey, or wake up today.
It really highlights this fundamental distrust, doesn't it, of established systems, government, corporations, regulators about something as basic as food.
It's not just a health chat. It feels more like a conspiracy theory wrapped around the food supply.
Exactly. A worldview where powerful groups are seen as actively working against people for money.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit, the transcript also dives, like, headfirst into claims about hidden tech and government secrets, painting a picture of the world that's, well, very different from the usual story.
Right. This part suggests that secret stuff, advanced tech, it's all happening behind closed doors. You hear mentions of launch codes in a liar's hand, building empires in secret sand, classified skies and invisible fleets, even alien tech tucked under the sheets.
It creates this sharp contrast, between everyday life while we ride buses and this supposed hidden reality where they can warp through space laughing at us trapped in the rat race.
The money angle is there too. Claims of billions vanish like smoke and mist, funding black ops budgets with iron fist. They call it Black Budget Dreams, Stolen Stars. It suggests huge amounts of money being secretly diverted.
And the list of alleged hidden tech and activities, it sounds like something out of sci-fi, really. Puppeteer time with a silicon kiss, building false flags, fly like satellite wings, underground bases, birth new kings, teleporters, moon bases, jump gates, Hollow Earth lore.
It's quite a list.
It is.
And what's interesting here is how it taps into that consistent theme in alternative narratives.
Yeah.
The idea that the reality we see is mostly faked or hidden, reality shredded behind closed doors, the truth being deep-fried served to fools, and behind every star, another false star.
So finding the truth means uncovering all these layers of deception.
That seems to be the framing, yeah. Deception maintained by powerful, hidden groups.
Okay, now navigating this source also means dealing with some really sensitive and frankly quite uncomfortable discussions.
Yeah.
Especially around race and identity.
Yes, this is a big part of the transcript, and it includes language that many people will find offensive. It's important we report what's in the source to understand the group's dynamics, but we need to be crystal clear. We're not endorsing these views ourselves.
Absolutely understood. So the participants themselves claim diverse backgrounds: Native American, white, German, Italian, French, Portuguese, Lebanese, Filipino, Gypsy, Native, Canadian, American, white,
Yeah.
which adds a layer, right?
It does. And within that mix, some really loaded and derogatory terms get thrown around by participants at each other. Things like featherhead, red skin, savage, and some deeply offensive slurs like Alabama wasp fat retard that had slaves 400 years ago, and the nigger.
Yeah.
Again, that's directly quoted from the source we're looking at.
And the conversation includes arguments about race itself. Like, one view expressed is that race is not a thing, color's not really a thing, and that white and blacks are actually brothers and all that, we've just been tricked, which kind of clashes with other things said.
It really does. There's also talk about how racism might even happen within a racial group, like the idea that black police officers could be racist against other black people.
A specific concept mentioned is the racism of low expectations, or soft bigotry of low expectations.
Yeah, and how that might apply in certain situations. And controversially, one participant brings up crime statistics related to race, stating something like 13% of the population commit X number of murders, which are much higher than the white population or the Asian population, using that to support a specific viewpoint on race and behavior.
And you can imagine in that kind of high-energy environment, this stuff leads to really strong reactions, disagreements, accusations flying back and forth about what is or isn't racist.
Definitely. And maybe most disturbing is a brief but a pretty shocking mention of eugenics linked to IQ and deportation. Suggestions to deport everyone who has less than a 150 IQ, with a specific mention of a plane goes to El Salvador, it's a one-way trip.
Wow. That really underscores the unfiltered, sometimes extreme nature of the ideas floating around in this source material.
It shows how deeply identity and group dynamics are tangled up in their interactions, and how it can become a real flashpoint for conflict.
It highlights just how complex and potentially volatile these discussions can get in these kinds of online spaces. Okay, moving to something completely different. The transcript also has these practical discussions about survival and nutrition, particularly in a sort of collapse scenario, like if the electricity goes out in the entire world.
Right. In that context, the talk shifts to basics, like food. They mention short-term things like dried mangoes, tubers, but also note their limits.
But a strong case is made for fish as a really efficient survival food. Most amount of sustenance for the least amount of effort, they say, with high productivity. Fatty fish like salmon, whitefish, herring are suggested.
And this leads into talking about rabbit starvation, basically, getting sick from trying to live on only super lean meat. The argument in the source is that the problem isn't just lean meat, it's not eating the whole animal, the internal fat, organs, skin.
They contrast that with how people eat now, where people nowadays, they just eat the dry, clean muscle meat and throw away the heart, the liver, the fat, what they call the most unnutritious parts, the head, the skin, the internals.
Right. The point being that historically, people would use everything. Eating the skin after burning off the hair, cooking organs, using internal fats.
There's also this evolutionary angle brought up, suggesting humans succeeded not by being the strongest or fastest hunters, but by using brain power for tools, implying that knowing how to maximize resources is key.
So it's a different take on nutrition, isn't it? Rooted more in perceived tradition than modern guidelines.
And drilling down even more into nutrition, there's a specific debate about certain foods, which shows conflicting info even within this group.
Yeah, the liver discussion is a perfect example. One side claims it collects toxins and has way more vitamin C than oranges, like 100 times more vitamin C.
But then someone else disputes both things, saying liver doesn't really collect toxins. That's more the kidney's job. And that oranges actually have much more vitamin C, though they do acknowledge liver is high in B12.
It's confusing, right?
Yeah. And chili peppers get mentioned for vitamin C, but then immediately warned against because they have lectins and oxalates, which supposedly cause inflammation.
And the idea of just living on fatty steak comes up, including the claim that meat has vitamin C and that organs are crucial alongside the muscle.
It really underscores that distrust of mainstream advice again, doesn't it? And the search for alternative truths about food, even if those alternatives clash with each other.
Exactly. It shows that even in a community looking for hidden knowledge, they don't always agree on what that knowledge actually is.
Okay, finally, and maybe this is the most revealing thing about the environment this scream comes from, we need to navigate the online community dynamics themselves. This transcript is just, it's brimming with interpersonal conflict and drama.
Oh, definitely. This live stream is a really vivid, sometimes chaotic example of how relationships, alliances, rivalries just play out in public online. Loads of individuals are mentioned as sort of players in this ongoing drama. OTW, Goblin, Dennis, Lou, Mitchell, Snowfire, Cynthia, TK, Red 40, Lena, Venus, Margot, Christos, Rob Cleveland, Kazoom, Corn Pops. It feels like a whole cast of characters.
And there are clear conflicts described, often in really stark terms. Mitchell gets called two-faced, a parasite by OTW, and supposedly got thrown out. There's a big ongoing thing about TK boycotting OTW, partly because OTW allowed someone named Snafu on the stream.
Right. And the reasons for TK's boycott are debated. Was it Lena's influence? Was TK taking things too seriously? Or was TK just seen as valuable revenue, a golden goose for OTW?
There's also this narrative about Venus and Lena trying to actively undermine OTW's influence and money, framed as a Gossip Girls boycott, or them hiding behind men strategically. And Cynthia gets caught between TK and Snafu, called a journalist or snitch, and even insultingly, a weaponized hoe.
Snafu seems to be right in the middle of a lot of it, drawing these incredibly colorful insults like granny panties, weaponized powers movement, traitors, predator weaponized fucktards, weaponized hoes. That level of personal attack just highlights how confrontational the space is.
There's even a specific term used, weed and tear, linked to Snafu. It's described as happening in the digital experience and seems to mean deliberately disrupting or destroying things within the online space itself. Like conflict isn't just a side effect, it might be the point.
That's how it comes across sometimes, yeah. And that money aspect we mentioned earlier, it's tied right into these fights. They talk about the ability to pay to kick him off, showing how cash can directly influence who gets to speak or stay, mentioning costs like $100 to be a mod for a day, or paying in $5 slices to sway moderation.
And the personal attacks are just constant and harsh, going way beyond disagreeing on ideas to questioning intelligence, mocking personal details like where someone lives, implied sexual stuff, and those racial insults we talked about earlier. It's a really aggressive way of communicating that seems almost normal there.
Other specific things pop up too, from the totally mundane, like OTW having a swollen tongue from biting a lozenge.
Right, I saw that.
To the more conspiratorial, like discussing a KFC ad they thought had ritualistic mocking elements, like a mock baptism or mocked eating people. It shows the wild mix of topics. And someone also shared something personal about recovering from addiction, attending an A meeting, so you get these moments of vulnerability mixed in with the chaos too.
This whole section really just pulls back the curtain on the culture of this online space, doesn't it? Conflict is public, alliances shift, personal drama is completely intertwined with these big talks about global conspiracies and hidden truths. It's like a performance, but rooted in real feelings and perceived slights.
Yeah, it really underscores how these online communities, especially ones built around alternative views and strong personalities, can become these intense social ecosystems where conflict serves all sorts of purposes. Entertainment, boundary setting, you name it.
Wow. Okay, that was a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
A really dense and complex source. This deep dive took us all the way from claims about food and secret government stuff to the really raw, often uncomfortable dynamics of identity and just intense personal conflicts in this specific online world.
And our goal really was just to be your guides through that, to lay out the themes, the arguments, the dynamics as the participants presented them impartially, so you can see the different, sometimes clashing viewpoints that were present.
It definitely highlights the kind of intensity and complexity you can find in these unfiltered online spaces, especially ones centered around alternative worldviews.
So given that deep distrust, the conflicting claims, the really personal nature of the fights we saw in this digital experience, maybe here's a final thought for you to chew on. In online places like this, where information gets tangled up with performance and conflict, how do you even begin to sort out genuine insight from just drama? What strategies do you need to navigate that potential chaos and find something meaningful?
One spark, from the shadows to the bright, let's light the dark. Red and blue views, truth in the middle, no script, just thought raw and a little civil. Every question's got layers, so we peel back facts. From the real to the surreal, we don't hold back. Voices collide where ideas ignite. You tuned in, now step into the fight. This is more